Dr. Joel Fuhrman is a board-certified physician whose groundbreaking work has been acclaimed as a medical breakthrough for weight loss, disease reversal, and prevention.
The American diet today has 62% of calories from processed foods. How many of you would like a promise that you don't have to have a heart attack when you get older?
He's a New York Times best-selling author and a widely published nutritional researcher.
And I see people putting this into practice every day, transforming their lives. Never forget that your health is your greatest wealth.
Join Dr. Joel Fuhrman now and learn the 3 steps to incredible health.
Okay, welcome back, and I'd be happy to answer your questions if you have any. So why don't you people just step right up to the mic and we'll have some fun.
Hello, Dr. Fuhrman. What are acceptable sweeteners? Can I use honey, stevia, agave?
Agave?
Agave,
Yeah,
yes.
right.
Sorry.
Well, agave is largely fructose. It's about 70 to 80% fructose. And even though it doesn't raise the blood sugar as high, it still has effects to raise triglycerides. So all concentrated sweeteners are not ideal. When we want to use more of our sugar calories, come from nutrient-rich sweeteners, like, for example, fruit, fresh fruit. You know, even a dried fruit is a good sweetener. So we'll often make desserts that will flavor with dried apricots or dried apples or something. So we're trying to minimize, and we're getting our taste buds acclimated to not being used to having so much sweet. Because the more sweets you eat, the more it deadens your taste for sweets. We want to enjoy the natural flavor of an apple or a strawberry. And if you're constantly putting sweets in your body, even artificial sweeteners, then the natural foods don't taste as sweet. You'd be amazed that when you're off sweets for a while, how you enhance the flavor of eating simple foods. So I really would want you to learn some of our delicious recipes and delicious desserts that get all the sweetener from just using natural fruit as the sweetener.
Okay, that sounds great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Dr. Fuhrman, I eat out quite often, so how can I follow this program, and is it truly realistic for me?
You know, it's true that we have to pick the restaurants that can serve some healthy foods, like restaurants that serve salads, that serve vegetables, that have salad bars. But you know what? The more people that do this, the more restaurants want to cater to meet your needs. And if you're a regular at a restaurant, they want you to be a customer. And if you voice to the staff what you want them to make for you, they will get that for you and make it. Restaurants want to have regular customers. And if you're a regular customer, when you tell them you have certain needs, they'll meet those needs. And it's amazing because the more people that eat at a particular restaurant that want healthy food, that restaurant will start to advertise. They have those healthy restaurant dishes and they'll put a little star on them, one of those signals. So the answer is you can help the restaurants do better and you can help the restaurants make healthy foods by other people by frequenting restaurants that serve healthier food, and by requesting they have those healthy foods available for you.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, good evening. My name is Charles Walton, and I want to know, how do you feel about soy products?
Well, I did mention that beans are a great healthy food, and beans have something magical in them called resistant starch, which actually is broken down in the large intestines and creates beneficial nutrients that protect us against colon cancer and other diseases, and it makes us lose weight more. And the soybean is a bean, and it's healthy to have a variety of beans. Now, the answer to your question is that eating soybeans in a simple form as part of a healthy diet is great, but you wouldn't want to eat a diet all soy. You wouldn't want a diet to be all corn either, but corn's still an okay food too. We want to eat a variety of vegetables, and we want to eat a variety of beans. We want soy to be part of that variety of foods we eat. And we don't want to eat foods like that soy that's processed, made into like soy hot dogs and soy corn chips. So in other words, corn's healthy, but we wouldn't want to eat corn chips and Fritos potato chips, or we wouldn't want to eat corn flakes and processed corn products, just like to make processed soy foods that aren't healthy either. The answer to your question is that soy in its unprocessed state, in the form of like tofu or edamame beans, are a healthy food, and that's good for you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Dr. Fuhrman, how do you feel about salts? Are some salts better for you?
Well, salt in your food and eating salt doesn't just raise your blood pressure, and increased risk of heart attack and stroke. It also increases risk of cancer. It also increases risk of kidney problems. It also increases risk of joint problems and osteoporosis. Adding salt to your food is not a great idea. We're trying to maximize flavor and the ability of taste to be able to taste the natural flavors in food. And the more you salt your food, the more it deadens your taste. So we want people to get rid of that addiction for salt. It's not a good thing. And the natural salts, the sea salts and other salts, have an insignificant amount of minerals that doesn't compensate for the amount of sodium they give you. What I'm saying is that even sea salt is not healthy for you. We shouldn't be putting a lot of extra sodium in our body, whether it's sea salt or salt from the Rock of Gibraltar or taken from the bottom of the sea or from the pink cliffs of Dover. It's still all about 2,000 milligrams of sodium per teaspoon. It's still not good for us to consume in our diet, and we should watch the consumption of all types of sodium.
Thank you.
Hi, Dr. Fuhrman. My name is Ron Kimura, and I was wondering, can I have coffee if I follow your program? And is there a difference with caffeinated or decaffeinated?
Well, I'd like you not to drink too much coffee. You can have some. But the problem is the more coffee you drink, the more you get those coffee withdrawal headaches when you stop drinking or sometimes between meals. And you mistake, and it takes you away from the sensitivity to being able to detect your true hunger. And you don't have as much ability to know when to eat as not because you mistake the coffee withdrawal for hunger.
Is that just with the caffeinated or
That's
decaffeinated?
with caffeinated.
With caffeinated.
You know, so we want to minimize your coffee consumption. It's not so terrible to drink it, but I prefer either you not drink it or have not more than 1 cup a day.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Dr. Fuhrman, I really enjoyed your presentation. I have a question about the non-organic and the organic, and which one would I buy? Which one is the best one for me to buy?
Sure. Well, thanks for the question. Well, certainly organic foods are better for the environment. They're better for the farm workers not to expose themselves to chemicals. But most people in America are suffering with diseases that if they just ate more fruits and vegetables, even that weren't organic, they'd still achieve dramatic health benefits. But there are certain foods that have heightened amount of residue on them that we should be somewhat careful with, like spinach and celery and strawberries. Like if we look at the foods that have the most pesticide residue or herbicide or fungicide residue, we'd probably eat less of those foods or eat them in the frozen forms. Because in the frozen forms, they don't contain so much of those fungicides on them, like on a strawberry. So the answer to your question is, sure, organic is best. It's better for the environment and better for the insects and better for the soil and better for the people that work with the chemicals. And it's better for our health too. But it's not the major factor that's creating America's healthcare crisis. That's because Americans aren't eating enough fruits and vegetables and the healthy foods. And we want people to eat that even if it's not organic. So do the best you can, okay?
Thank you very much, Doctor.
You're welcome.
Hi, Dr. Fuhrman. Should I be concerned if I lose weight too quickly? Because I heard that could be unhealthy.
Well, there are lots of unhealthy ways to lose weight. There's all kinds of crazy ways to lose weight, and some can be unhealthy. But here, what we're recommending here is eating a diet that's so nutrient-rich, flooding your body with beneficial nutrients that it wasn't even getting when you were overeating calories before. I wouldn't want you to, and you're eating as much food as you want. I wouldn't want you to think that you have to eat unhealthy food to slow the weight loss down. The thing is here is that when you're eating so healthy, if you're losing weight relatively rapidly, your body knows what it's doing. Maybe it's saving your life by losing weight that rapidly. Maybe the fact that you're taking away your risk of disease away so quickly, and maybe people's lives will be saved. There is some slight risk of losing weight rapidly, often the formation of gallstones, which we don't see occur when people lose weight this healthfully. It's more when people lose weight in an unhealthy manner. And plus the addition of the small amount of nuts and seeds in the diet, a little bit of fat in the diet, it prevents the formation of gallstones that other types of diets that are very low in fat might experience. So I'd say, don't worry about it, just get in great health.
Thank you, Doctor.
You're welcome.
Hi, Doc. I was wondering the role that genetics and heredity play in health issues, mainly concerning cholesterol and heart disease.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, genetics play a role in every disease, but nutritional excellence overwhelms genetics because we look at the data and we find that primitive populations or people who eat differently don't have those genetic risks. Even in America, breast cancer, for example, is something that's a recent phenomenon in human history. It didn't occur many years ago. We didn't change our genetics that much because breast cancer doubled in the last 100 years in America. When we look at people in the Orient, they have only 1% of those populations get breast cancer. But when those people move here, their rate within the second generation matches that of other Americans. The point is that the diseases are not predominantly genetics. And the second thing is that take a disease like colon cancer or breast cancer. When there is a genetic defect, it's been shown that the consumption of green vegetables contain a compound called isothiocyanates, called ITCs in the medical literature, ITCs, suppresses the expression of that gene that promotes cancer. So even those with that, even people with a genetic predisposition to that disease can achieve dramatic protection when they eat the diet style that's rich in these cancer protective compounds.
Thank you, doctor.
You're welcome.
Would you tell me, Dr. Fuhrman, does red wine really help lower cholesterol and heart disease risk?
Well, it's a good question, but here's the thing. I can give you an aspirin, and that will lower risk too, because it'll prevent the blood from clotting, and alcohol has some ability to interfere with blood from clotting. The American diet promotes blood clots to form. So when you take something that has an anti-clotting effect, it has some benefits. However, if you eat healthy, your blood is not at risk of clotting and not likely to clot. And then the aspirin thins the blood and can increase the risk of having a gastrointestinal bleed or a hemorrhagic stroke, which is a bleed into the brain. The point is that these things are not without risks. And they may be a benefit for a person eating a bacon, hamburger, unhealthy diet, who's overweight and has a high risk of heart disease. Then they should be taking an aspirin, or maybe the red wine is even a benefit to them. But once you are not at that risk anymore, the benefit-risk ratio changes, and these things become more of a risk than a benefit. And we know from studies on European women that women who drink 1 glass of red wine a day have a 30% increased risk of breast cancer. So it's not a great idea to be protecting your heart with red wine, especially if you're a woman, because it's better to protect yourself from heart disease with a healthy diet and not incur the risk of breast cancer you would get from drinking all the alcohol. Okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Dr. Fuhrman, what are the benefits of juicing over blending or eating raw fruits and vegetables?
Well, eating raw fruits and vegetables and chewing it very well would be like blending, but sometimes the blender can break down the cells more than your teeth can. And it's especially good if you're in a rush. Let's say I come back from the gym and I don't have time to concentrate on eating a salad and chewing it for 20 minutes. I can throw like a peach or some strawberries in a blender or some blueberries with a handful of lettuce or a kale, and I could whip it up and I could drink it on my way to work because I didn't have time to chew my salad very well. So I think it's helpful for some people when they often have one salad and they chewed it and they don't have time to really sit down and chew another salad. It's good to get those extra greens into them. So it could be a way that a person can get more of those high nutrient foods into their body. Not that it's essential for good health. Likewise, juicing can add some extra nutrients and extra vegetable-based nutrients into an otherwise good diet. But the problem would be when a person is like adding a glass of juice to an otherwise unhealthy diet. We don't want people to use these things as a crutch and think because they juice or they have one blended vegetable dish that means it gives them a free license to eat all the other crap in their diet.
Yeah.
So they're all good. They're good ideas, but they have to be used in the right way, in encompassing a healthy way of eating and living.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Hi, Dr. Fuhrman. I have a question about fats in the diet. And I understand you're supposed to go with low fat, but I don't like fat-free and I don't like skim milk. What would you suggest?
Well, don't forget, I'm not advocating a low-fat diet. As a matter of fact, I'm explaining that a diet too low in fat could have negative effects, especially that some of these phytochemicals that fight cancer are better absorbed into the body when you eat fat with the meal. We're talking here about using the healthiest fats, because when you use oil instead of the whole food, like an almond, you're using almond oil. Instead of eating flax seeds, you're using flaxseed oil. Instead of avocado, avocado oil. When you eat the whole food, it comes with fibers and other materials called sterols and stanols that bind the fat in the digestive tract and actually don't make all the fat calories bioavailable to the body. It actually sucks some bad fats out of the body and allowing the good fats to come in that have beneficial health effects. So what I'm saying here is that the utilization of nuts and seeds in the diet, which are a high-fat food, have dramatic health benefits to reduce cancer, to reduce heart attack, and to reduce what you call sudden cardiac death that can be caused by an irregular heartbeat. We're teaching people how to make delicious tasting recipes using the whole food, like the almond or the avocado, instead of using the oil you would get from that. Because when you take oil, within 3 minutes, it's onto your fat supply. Well, all those calories become biologically available to the body. And they're stored away from your lips to your hips within minutes. Right?
Right.
So we're talking here about eating more whole food to get your fat as opposed to processed food. The same thing was true with sugar and sweets. We want whole foods like fruit, not the processed sugar taken out of the fruit. When we eat whole foods, the body knows how to deal with these things, and it doesn't have the negative health effects.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Dr. Fuhrman, how do I get enough protein if I'm eating lots of vegetables and fruit?
Well, some people aren't aware that vegetables and beans and nuts and seeds are all high-protein foods. Let me ask you a question. Which food has more protein, 100 calories of broccoli or 100 calories of sirloin steak?
I would think the steak.
Right. But you know, the steak is 70% fat. It's only about 22% protein, whereas broccoli is more than half protein.
Wow.
And 100 calories from broccoli means 50 calories, half of that is protein. 100 calories of broccoli actually has 10 grams of protein in it, where 100 calories of steak only has about 5 grams of protein.
Wow.
The point is, how did the gorilla, hippopotamus, elephant, giraffe, rhinoceros get so big and strong, eating all those vegetables, those greens? Greens are high-protein foods. But when you get a lot of your protein from green vegetables, and beans and seeds, all those things are high in protein, you get your protein packaged in a super nutrient package that fights disease. We're saying here to people to get more of the protein from vegetable sources and less protein from animal sources, because the animal sources don't contain those beneficial nutrients and are loaded with the bad fats too.
Thank you.
And the other thing, if I could say one more thing, because it's a good question, is that the animal proteins, which are more concentrated, raise a hormone in your body called IGF-1. The more the protein is biologically available, like eggs and meat and dairy, and the more you raise this hormone called insulin-like growth factor 1, which increases the risk of both prostate cancer and breast cancer. We want to eat less animal protein and more vegetable protein for that precise reason, to have less cancer too.
Wow.
Okay?
But my downfall is I love chocolate. Is there healthier chocolates I can eat?
Well, you know what? You can use like a natural cocoa, because it's usually not the chocolate part that's bad. It's all the, like those palm oils and fats and sugars they add to it. Like we said, we made a healthy chocolate cake. We made it with like some natural cocoa, with some dates to sweeten it, with beets and carrots and whole wheat flour, and we made a delicious icing. We made an icing with macadamia nuts, a little cocoa powder and vanilla, and a little bit of soy milk mixed together. So sure, you can make a lot. You can make a chocolate smoothie where you put blueberries and cherries and chocolate and some spinach in there too, or kale, and you don't even taste the vegetables in it. It tastes like a delicious chocolate drink, and the vegetables are completely hidden, especially with spinach, because you don't taste spinach in a fruit drink as much. It's like the flavor is like lost, especially when you add the chocolate to it. So we have all kinds of great recipes for the chocolate lover.
Okay.
Don't want to overdo it, but you can still have some.
Thank you.
Sure.
Hi, Dr. Fuhrman. I've learned so much from you, but how can you get me to stop craving sweets?
Well, the word craving automatically means there's some addiction involved. And you get used to eating sweets, and it fuels a dopamine rush in the brain. And those dopamine rushes pleasurable, and there's a memory for that that keeps the body's cravings going.
Okay.
There's only one way to get rid of the cravings. You know what that is?
What?
It's called abstinence. The only way to get rid of a craving is to not have it for a few weeks. So you got to make the decision. And then you substitute in natural foods, and you try some of our recipes, so it's the concentration of the sweets, the concentrated honey, the maple syrup, the sugars. You got to get that out of your diet for a while and start to eat the things that are more subtly and more gently sweet. And then eventually your taste buds will get stronger, and you'll lose the sensation of wanting something so sweet. And then when you have a dessert with all those sweeteners in it, you go, ugh, that's too sweet. I like the homemade version made that was just a little subtly sweet. We even make a chocolate cake with carrots and beets in it, a little natural cocoa with a few dates. It's like a vegetable with a little whole wheat flour. It's like a natural chocolate cake. And if we don't make it that sweet, it almost tastes like you're eating a vegetable dish that's slightly sweetened with a little chocolate cocoa flavor, and people love it. But once you get rid of your sweet cravings, you're going to enjoy these more subtly flavored desserts even more, because you're going to taste, you're going to enjoy more of those subtle gourmet flavors.
Okay.
So give it a try.
All right.
Well, okay.
Thank you.
Sure.
Hi, I have fibromyalgia. I've had it for 12 years, and I was wondering if I do start eating the fruits and vegetables, what you say, how long should I notice, will it take before I start noticing like my fatigue to go away and my pain?
Right. Well, you know, we measure micronutrient scores in people's skin, in their bloodstream, and we find that to build a level of nutrients in your tissues high enough that a person's been eating a diet for a long time usually takes about 2 to 3 months. So whatever your nutrient score is now, and if we measured how much nutrients are in your skin tone through like a laser machine, we'd find that you'd have that after a month of eating healthy, you still don't have your nutrient levels as ideal. And you know what? This is all about eating what you like, but over time we're going to train you how to like the foods that are good for you. You have to be a little bit flexible to realize when you first start out doing this in the first month, you may not like it as much as your old diet. But bear with me here, because we're going to retrain your taste buds. And over time, and this time could take more than a month, it could take about 3 months, you're going to eventually make your taste buds more sensitized. And like with a child or the baby, it takes about 15 tries of eating a food to get them to like it.
Mm-hmm.
And the more the mother eats the food when they're pregnant, and they get some of those flavors through the breast milk as well, the more the baby's likely to like that food. The same thing is true here. Sometimes you're so used to eating a certain diet that you like the foods you're used to eating.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we got to get you to like the foods you're used to eating that are good for you. You know?
Uh-huh.
And the other thing is that the end of the rainbow here is dramatic health benefits, especially for you with fibromyalgia, right?
Mm-hmm,
So,
yeah.
so eventually you're going to feel great and you're going to like the diet. Really, you're really going to love it. But you got to give it some time for that to occur.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Hi, Dr. Fuhrman. I would just like to know if I could still have desserts.
Well, desserts are great. I love desserts, and certainly I want you to have desserts. Okay. But you know what? I want you to eat healthy, delicious desserts. And they help you control your appetite too. Because, you know, I don't want you snacking and eating all night long. We want that catabolic phase during the night when you're not eating so your body can maximize healing and repair. So you're not eating all night long. So when you finish eating at 7 o'clock at night, let's say, clean your teeth, clean the kitchen, and get away from food. But the dessert you have after the meal, it marks the end of eating for the day. It's great to have it before you overeat. You save something, you don't overeat, and you have a dessert, and then you're done for the day. Like one of my favorite desserts is I take some dried pineapple slices, and I soak them in orange juice, they get softened, and then I put them in the blender with a bag of frozen strawberries, and I whip it up. And make a delicious pineapple strawberry sorbet. Fantastic dessert after a meal. Takes a second to make it, too.
Sounds good.
And I find that, you know, I've taste tested it against people like a cherry sorbet or and people like that little tartness. They even like when you put a little squeeze of lemon into something, so there's that sweet, sour flavor, you know. We can make a lot of great desserts. I think I talked about some of them tonight, right? But we have so many fantastic dessert recipes, you'll have like a whole lot of fun just trying them out.
Thank you.
Sure.
Hi, Dr. Fuhrman. What kind of feedback can you give me about fish?
Well, fish is generally, the type of fat in fish isn't saturated fat. And saturated fat is linked to certain types of cancers, and of course, it promotes heart disease too. So the fish is one of the more beneficial types of animal products, so the amount of animal products you will be choosing to eat in smaller amounts in your diet. However, the studies show that people who eat larger amounts of fish have higher rates of diabetes, and in some studies, when the women are using fish that seem to come from polluted sources, higher risk of breast cancer as well. So, and the other thing is fish is concentrated animal protein of a high biological value, so we still want people to watch their consumption of these animal protein concentrates. So the answer to your question is that we want to use animal products in smaller amounts in the diet, and when you do so, the lower polluted fishes can be an acceptable choice.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, Dr. Fuhrman. I was just wondering if you could tell me which is better, cooking food or raw food?
Well, I mean, if we look at lots of studies on cancer protection, we find that raw vegetables have the most powerful anti-cancer effects. However, certain foods like mushrooms, which if you know are high anti-cancer foods, are better cooked than raw. Because the light cooking, dissipates some of the toxins in the mushrooms, but still maintains the beneficial anti-cancer effects.
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah. Some foods like carrots and tomatoes that have carotenoids in them, and corn, those nutrients are better absorbed cooked. The answer to your question overall is that some foods get more absorption cooked and some more absorption raw. And it's good to know which are which so you can design them appropriately. And the other interesting feature here is you take a cruciferous vegetable like broccoli or kale, right? And when the food is raw and you're crushing, chopping, or chewing, a chemical reaction is ongoing that's forming the beneficial anti-cancer compounds in the mouth or while you're cutting on the table. If you cook it and then cut it, you're going to lose some of those you can lose some of the formation of those anti-cancer compounds. But what you can do is you can blend it or chop it before you cook it, and then add it to your soup, and the heat won't destroy the compounds, but they just had to be formed before it was heated. So there's a little more information you could learn to just the nuances here, to know which foods are better to eat raw and which foods are better to eat cooked and how to prepare them. It helps magnify the benefits of the diet.
Great. Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Hello, Dr. Fuhrman. Appreciate you coming down, first of all, sharing this information, doing this study. I don't know what you would call it, but like around mid-time, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I get like burned out and exhausted. And I was wondering, what would you recommend that I could eat to help me get my energy back up?
Well, that's a really good question, because what we should not be eating to get energy up. The fact that your energy is falling, that's that catabolic phase, that detox reaction that's occurring. And the key to not to feel that is to eat a diet that's higher in micronutrients. So that the fact that you're feeling fatigued, it means one of two things. Either you're in the detox phase, because fatigue is the most common symptom of detox, which means we have to improve the quality of your diet, or that you didn't get enough sleep the night before. So, but fatigue is not a symptom of hunger, and you shouldn't be using food as a stimulant to take care of fatigue. You should be using either eating right or getting more sleep for fatigue. You should eat food when you're hungry, not fatigued. And if you're fatigued, there's something wrong. It's not showing the increased need for food. People think I got to eat to go to the gym. I got to eat to get my energy up. That's a myth. We shouldn't be eating for energy. We should have energy. We should be able to wake up in the morning fully excited with full energy for the day. You know?
I feel like reaching
whether you eat or not, you should have full energy, right?
Well, then would it be wrong then? I feel like grabbing a cup of coffee or eating a candy bar.
Right.
So
That's a stimulant.
Stimulant.
That's stimulation. And the more you stimulate your body through life, the shorter your lifespan. We live longer because we conserve the forces of life. Let me say this again. We have a flashlight with a battery in it. If we keep that flashlight turned on, we're going to utilize the battery. We want to save the battery, right? In your life, the more you stimulate yourself, because you need to, because you're fatigued all the time, keeps you rev yourself up, rev up your mentality. You're aging faster now. You want to live a life so you don't need to be stimulated for energy, because you've earned good health. And when you earn good health, you need less sleep, you're in touch with the body's needs, and you're not fatigued. And when you get fatigued, maybe you're running a race and you're fatigued, you don't feel like running, you stop running. Then you feel normal. And if you're tired or sleepy, you go to sleep. We listen to the body, and we don't take sugar, caffeine, cocaine, or drugs to feel better. Okay?
Thank you.
Dr. Fuhrman, I have a newborn son, a 3.5-month-old. Is there any way I can kind of disease-proof my kid? Is there anything I can do? What should I be doing nutritionally for my son, 3.5-month-old?
Do you breastfeed your son?
We weren't going to go there.
Well, yeah, at 3.5 years old.
3.5 months.
Right, at 3.5 months old, your child should be exclusively on breast milk. And the breast milk should come from a mother who's eating a healthy diet. And when the mother's eating a healthy diet, she has more micronutrients in the breast milk. And you know what? And that child's health is determined by the quality of that milk, how long your wife breastfeeds, and the quality of her diet through her pregnancy and 2 years before she got pregnant.
Wow.
You know? So in other words, you're lucky because your wife was living a healthy life and she continues to do so while she's producing the right raw materials for your son, and it might affect his whole life. You know?
Wow.
So really, the first 5 years of life are the most critical age of a person to start them with a good start in life. You can give him protection now against autoimmune conditions and even protect his body against cancer because you fed him a diet that's so well designed when he's young. It's a wonderful opportunity as a parent.
Hi, Dr. Fuhrman. This has been a wonderful experience. And you obviously look great. And I saw a picture of your dad somewhere, I think, on the internet. How do you do it? What do you eat? Or what do you just absolutely not eat? Because I don't want to really give up my burgers, but I'm almost ready to.
Well, I really love eating this way. I love feeling well and knowing and not having the fear of disease. And And I think it's part of loving life and loving fitness, loving sports. I've always been very physically active, and I would feel terrible if I couldn't do the things I enjoy in life. If I couldn't play tennis, I couldn't go skiing, I couldn't play baseball, volleyball at the beach. I want to do things. I want to stay active with my children, and I want to be around for my grandchildren, you know? And I feel that the diet I eat is the best tasting diet I could eat. I get used to it. So if it wasn't so healthy for me, I would still eat this way because it's the diet I enjoy eating the most. It would be hard for me to change to go to the unhealthy diet. You know, I remember once I went to one of my kids' birthdays to Carvel ice cream. I'm not supposed to say that. And I tasted it and I went, I could taste the bleach in there. My taste buds become so sensitized, it was too sweet, and I could taste the chemicals in it. I wanted to go home and make my own fresh ice cream by taking a frozen banana out of the freezer, right? Chopping up the frozen banana, putting a little hemp milk in the blender, a little splash of vanilla, whatever I want to add to it to make it flavored, any flavors I want to make. And then I really enjoyed something I knew was good for me that also tasted fresh and clean and healthy. So the answer to your question is, I walk the walk that I talk, which means I enjoy eating healthy food. I'll make a great salad for the whole family. My wife will say, come home and make one of your great salad dressings. I'm very creative. Like the other night, I soaked some sun-dried tomatoes to make them, soften them. I chopped them up small in a salad. I took some garlic cloves and I roasted it in the toaster oven for a few minutes. I squeezed them out like toothpaste. I made a great tasting garlicky Caesar dressing made with nutritional yeast and garlic and a little hemp milk and a little bit of, cashew nuts on the salad. I put the, sun-dried tomatoes around it. We make incredibly delicious food, incredibly even delicious vegetable dishes. A nice mushroom onion burger. So I can think that if you came to my house for dinner, you'd say, wow, this is good tasting stuff. And when my kids bring their friends over, they say, can you teach my parents some of these recipes? This tastes really good, So I think you're going to wake up to a new way of eating that's going to give you incredible benefits. And you'll come over to my house and eat the foods I eat. The salads, the vegetable dishes, the soups, the healthy desserts, all the fruit. We got a lot of great ideas here.
Thank you.
Sure. Well, thank you so much for being here and joining me on the road to great health. And remember, 3 steps to incredible health. Thanks so much for your questions and wishing you all incredible health.